Just a few weeks ago, I spoke to Christine Clayfield to talk to her about her book, No Fourth River. Now she's a successful businesswoman. But listening to her life story, from terrible, terrible abuse, she knew she had a choice. Somehow, she got out and she made it. Enjoy watching.
Just tell me, because I'm fascinated.
Yes.
What does the title of your book mean?
Okay, it basically means I decided at some point after I was beaten into a coma that I would never ever, after having cried 3 rivers of tears for my father, the nuns in boarding school, and my first violent husband, I decided I'm not ever crying a river. So that's why it's called No Fourth River. When I decided crying ends here and I'm changing my life completely.
That's amazing.
That's what that is about.
That's amazing. So where are you from?
I was born in Belgium in 1959 and I lived there for over 30 years, but then I've lived in England now for 25 years, over 25 years. Another thing I do also like to mention is that I've got a very low, deep voice and a lot of people call me Sir, which is indeed quite funny. It is now, it wasn't in the beginning. But it is due to too much trauma as a child and a young adult, because there is actually a relationship between trauma and your voice. So that's where that comes from. I just like to explain that at the beginning in case people wonder what the hell, she sounds like a man. So that's it.
To be honest with you, as an actor, women have all sorts of different voices. And I don't judge voices like that. I don't think of them like that.
All right.
So thank you for explaining, but you didn't need to.
Okay, fine.
Again, so trauma is it affects the voice?
It does, yeah.
Because of the physical trauma or because of the emotional trauma? Or both?
Emotional trauma, yeah. There is a clear link according to specialists, and I've been told that is the reason in my case why my voice just got lower and lower over the years.
When you train, what you try and do is, as a woman, so we don't all talk up there like this, is that we actually trained women to actually be on their voice, which is in fact a lower range.
Yes.
Which, you know, interestingly, I work with women also, and I train women in business, and often people just still talk up here like they were little.
Really?
Of course, because you don't, and I trained as a ballet dancer, everything was pulled up so my voice was high. When I went to drama school, I was quite, you know, I could be interesting and my voice could change, but it was here. And my wonderful teacher said to me, you're not on your voice. And I said, sorry?
Oh, really?
And
That's
actually it's learning that this is where my voice sits, which is actually where our voice should be. On your voice, which is in a different place as a young woman as opposed to a girl.
Of course it is.
You know, and as a woman, to have a lower voice is normal and right.
Okay.
It's just culturally we're not allowed to.
No.
So we have to explain or validate your voice. Fuck that. You don't have to do that.
Okay. Well, there you go.
There you go, babes. People long to have voices like that. You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You think so? Well,
of course.
That would be good. Okay. Well,
yeah.
I've got it. And I'm happy I've got it. There's nothing I can do about it.
So, what's extraordinary, your new book, is your life story then?
It is indeed, yes. It is. I explain everything, I lay everything bare in my book, the really, really bad, horrible, harrowing things, up to, at the end, the victories and the achievements. So that is indeed the life story. And it starts in Belgium when I was 5 years old.
And that's when your abuse started?
Yes, the abuse basically started. My father, I was born in a diamond environment, so but under the glittering surface of it all, it wasn't very nice at all. I mean, I ended up with no money anyway, although I was born in a rich environment. But when I was 5 years old, my father decided to dump me in a boarding school because I was not good enough. I didn't achieve anything, so you go there and learn.
What are you supposed to achieve by 5?
By 5, exactly. So I was dumped there. And then the very first time, before that it was already mental abuse at home, like being put down and not being able to do anything. But the very worst day, one of the worst days in my whole life, I think there's 3 really bad days. Well, that one was when I was 5 years old. I took two big problems with me to boarding school. There was a big ugly scar on my face and my bedwetting. So when I went to bed the first night, I went to the nuns and said, "Sister, I went to bed, could you please help me?" But it didn't go down very well at all. The nun was not happy with that. She said, "Must strip your bed, take your sheets in your arms, and you have to walk all the way from your bedroom number 49, it was, and I had to walk with my wet sheets bundled in my arms through 249 beds in the dormitories while the nuns announced over the speaker, make way for number 49, the bedwetter." And the nun encouraged all the children to laugh at me, spit at me, calling me dirty names. And it was just so horrific, horrible. I didn't know what to do with my feelings at all, because like everybody was laughing at me. And that was the start of all my abuse. And then it was just a circle of abuse until I was through my late 20s. But yeah, that was...
There was a defining moment when you said enough. What was that?
The defining moment came when I married my first husband, and during the 11th month of my marriage, I was beaten in hospital twice, and the last time he beat me, I was beaten into a coma. So that was a defining moment. When I woke up from the coma, I just knew if I go back, I will die, because the beatings were more frequent, harder, longer, and I just knew I cannot go back. I need to change. And that was the moment where I did indeed say, that's it. A few weeks before, my dad actually died. So I had not really anywhere to go, but I decided I will knock on my mum's door and see if I can come home again, which I did. So after that, I went home, lived with mum, packed in my job, because I wanted to change absolutely everything in my life, which I did. And
what's amazing is that you knew you had a choice.
yes.
Because a lot of people don't know they have a choice. What was the thing that gave you that freedom?
Yeah, I think that is very important what you just point out there, because that's also one of the messages that I think I would like to send to the world. When you are in a bad situation like that, you do indeed have the choice, but you've got to give yourself that option to make that choice, because very often people just go and sit in a corner and cry and don't make any changes.
But what was the thing for you? Because how did you know? Was there a moment when you thought, I could live a different life? Did you see something?
It was as if, during the coma, I don't remember that it happened like that, but that's how it felt when I woke up. Well, all this stuff I have gone through, I can't live with that anymore. I really can't. I've had enough. I have to change. I have nowhere to go, but I will change my life around.
So in part, you took responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
You knew you were not going to be a victim. You knew you were able to take the reins of your life at that moment.
Yes.
Which must have been revelatory.
It was indeed. I found my survival instinct. I found myself saying no. And that is actually the reason why I was beaten into a coma, because for the first time ever, I said to my husband, no, that's it, you've gone too far. I'm not taking this anymore. And that was already before the coma. I've already, in a way, decided you've gone too far. And that was sort of translated into the coma then. But yeah, the survival instinct in me changed everything. The moment that I realized I can do better. I'm not going to be bitter about this, I'm going to be better. And
that's an amazing phrase. I'm not going to be bitter, I'm going to be better.
That is what, again, a message for me. Don't be bitter about your past, be better. Turn your bad past into something much better in the future. I went home to my mum. I didn't treat mum well before that, and I felt guilty about it. Why? Because when I left home, when I had enough of the situation at home, the beatings, the mental abuse, I didn't think about mum enough, how much it would hurt her, that I would just say, okay, I'm going now, bye. And that was something I regretted, but Mum completely understood. So yeah, I lived with her. I started to read a lot of books, and I started to get into sports. And into sports, all of a sudden, after lots and lots of training, and sport teaches you keep going, and you get there, which I did. And at some point, I was standing on the #1 step with a #1 trophy in my hand.
That's
the moment I
Yeah.
realized I am not useless. Everybody told me in my life, you're totally useless, you will never make anything in my life. And I decided then, look, I'm #1 here, I'm not useless. So I was going to practice those keep going principles in my business life, because simultaneously I started reading business books. So about selling and how to achieve things.
Yeah.
I put those two together and started my own business, which
What
is
was
what
your
I wanted
business?
to do.
What was your business?
It was an Apple dealership. At the time,
Yeah.
everybody wanted a computer, nobody had one. So I started a business, and I worked, and it was a successful business. That was my first business.
Your mother didn't have that awakening. She didn't know she had a choice.
No, my mom stayed with my dad all the time, although...
Do you think that's a generational thing as well? That
I
in her
think
life
so.
you didn't, as women, we've had the vote for 100 years, just. And I'm 61, and I thought to myself, I only really realised just 49 years before women got the vote. And I grew up in a world where I assumed of course we've already had it. And that was ages ago.
Yes.
It's not. Now
No.
being older, you realise it's such a short time.
Yeah.
And how people were conditioned and what we thought our potential was completely different. So your mother's era was that there was nowhere to go. You were defined by the man that you were with, and you stayed with that person, otherwise you were nothing.
Yes, and another important aspect in case of my mom's character, she had very low self-esteem. She could never do anything right. She was moaned at all the time. She had no say in our household. At some point, I agree, she maybe could have been a bit tougher, but I understand why she couldn't. Because a good example of that is when I was about 14 years old, I was still wetting the bed. And my father decided I had to do electroshock therapy to try and stop my bed wetting. So we went to a doctor. I was strapped on the bed, and then this doctor took a long cold device, inserted it into my private part.
Into your vagina.
In my vagina, yes. And electric pulses were given out.
So they electrocuted your vagina
Yes.
to think that would stop you wetting the bed.
They did. And my mom was sitting next to me. That's the second really bad day of my life. I just said the first one. That day, it was so painful. There's no words. It was like I wanted to get it out of me, but I couldn't because I was trapped. Sometimes I think my mom could have just said, please, just stop this. But I had to do that for 30 days.
For 30 days?
Until my bedwetting stopped. It never stopped.
Well,
After 27 days, I said, no, I'm not doing it.
and that's nothing to do with it.
That day, no, of course not. That day turned me into a very rebellious teenager because I did not understand the unfairness of that day. And I got into drinking, alcohol, promiscuity, boyfriends, meeting wrong people, and that's eventually how I met my husband. But that is essentially because of that day.
Well,
That did a lot to me.
the whole description of your youth is so horrific, heartbreaking. There aren't enough words. And I think the only way at that point to rebel would make sense, because it's getting away from anything that's near you,
Reality.
from your reality. And it's inconceivable as an idea. I don't understand.
I don't understand either. I tried everything to try and stop my bedwetting. Absolutely everything. Nothing worked. I did stop eventually. It was a bad day, and when I then used to sit in the pubs, I used to sort of become a different person and feel a lot better, forget the ugly scar on my face that everybody was laughing at, forget the fact that everybody in school laughed at my bedwetting, and it was just nice
Freedom.
feeling for
Well,
once.
yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then you got into that, and you had your abusive husband, and then you had your claim, and then was the first moment of freedom.
Exactly.
And you
yes.
went to your mum's, and did you kind of rebond then with your
I
mother?
did.
Yeah.
Yes. We since that first day I went back home, we had a really good cry, both of us, and then it ended up in biggest hugs I've ever had. And we said, okay, we both understand. We might have both been wrong, but let's just not dwell on the past. We go to the future. And from then on, I had a really good relationship with her, and it was fine, even up to the fact that she had dementia a while ago. I just could not do it any other way than to look after her. Mum moved in my house in her last stages of dementia, and I looked after her 24/7. It's one of the best things I've done, caring wise, fulfilling wise. It was so nice to look after her, knowing that she needed me, or she had to go in a home and I could not take her to a home. I had to do that.
So
Yes,
what was
I
your
was
next
in-
business?
I was in the dealers, and obviously I was supplied by wholesalers because that's our dealership work. So I slowly started to understand the wholesale world, and I thought the business was expanding. I had like 17 members of staff, I think, after 2 years. It
Wow.
was going really well. And I realized, actually, I don't have to be here anymore. I can point out a manager, and we have meetings, and that's it. Let the business run itself. So I can concentrate on selling something else, which I did. I went to, the Acer computers, they're still around now. They were looking for fresh distribution channels,
Right.
and they were based in Taiwan. So I traveled to Taiwan, to Acer, to say, you need me in Belgium. I will sell your products. I will just go like that.
Yeah.
And they agreed. They gave me exclusive wholesalership for Belgium and Luxembourg. And that's how I started my second company, a wholesale distribution company,
amazing.
Acer Computer. Afterwards, I did find my true love, my second husband. He's still my rock, so I'm married to him now, English gentleman. So when we moved over to England, I had to start businesses as well. I just wanted to be in control. Because in boarding school you are told what time you go for a wee, what time you eat, what time you get up, what time you sleep, everything. At home it was the same. I had a dad who ruled with fist and fear, my way, this time, that time. I just wanted my own things, and I will decide what time I go to the toilet, what time I
Thank
get
you very
up.
much.
Exactly, thank you very much. So I always wanted to be in control, so I had to set up other businesses.
Yeah.
I had twin girls. And
You've had twin girls?
I had twin girls, yes.
It's
I
hard
did.
enough with one. How do you do twins?
Well, I planned to have them, believe it or not.
Oh, did you? That's brilliant.
I did actually, yes.
Get it over and done with.
No, I did actually. I did. It's, part of it is in the book, but it's a long story.
Yeah.
But when I really had bad times, when I used to cry and cry and cry,
Yeah.
somehow I had a vision of identical twin girls that I used to think about, see in my vision, and I would see them and I would shower them with love and abundance and cuddle them. The stuff I never had, I was giving to somebody in my dreams. So when I was married, second time, I said to my husband, you do know I want my twin girls. He said, yeah, why are you going to do that then? So I literally went to a lot of specialists to talk about maximizing your fertility chances,
Yeah.
you're getting pregnant, maximize, and then I read about books and talked to people. There are things you can do, they're not proven, but there are things you can do to maximize your chances of girls. That you can eat certain things, that there are things you can do to maximize your chances of getting pregnant, and even getting more than one child in the womb.
Wow.
And I practiced all
Everything.
those things, everything. It basically comes down to what you eat, what boxer shorts your husbands wear, what time
Jeez.
you eat, when you make love, how often you make love, what positions in blah, 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 blah.
And you got twins?
All these things put together, and I got twins.
Stop
And
it.
I got twin
High
girls.
five. That's amazing.
So people debate that and obviously say,
Of course,
oh,
but
that's
you
not
did.
possible.
But you
Well,
did. Again,
there
what
were
I
no
think
things in
is,
my family.
is fascinating and moving and beautiful is in your darkest moments you envisaged giving love to somebody else, and you would think that would be the last thing you would be availed of in those moments of terror, horror. And it's so extraordinary that was your salvation, that was your vision to keep you strong.
That is actually very true. Yes,
Because not many people would know again that there is the choice.
Yeah.
That you could even choose that. That's not even in the realms of your life.
That's
Yet
very
from
true.
somewhere, something was there that gave you that. So you got twin girls.
Yes.
You got a lovely husband.
Yes, so we moved to England, yeah, and then but this is how I came to the twin girls. They had a baby respiration monitor when we came home, when we moved to England, but I couldn't find one in England. The reason they had it because they were premature and they were twins, so they were more prone to have cot death syndrome.
Yeah.
So there were monitors available to try and prevent it, but I just could not find a good one to rent in the UK. And I said to my husband, there you go, there's another gap in the market.
Off you go.
I can't find one, other people are looking, I'm going to manufacture one. So we went to manufacture, so anyway the end result was I brought a respiration monitor onto the market. It was not easy at all because you had European certificates, it was very difficult. I went to hospitals, eventually it was launched. Almost all hospitals with a baby care unit had the monitor. The good business model about that was that all the babies, the mums, saw the monitor and said, where'd you get that monitor? So the hospital said, go and get it there. Because it was my monitor exclusive worldwide, so I could sell it where I wanted it. When my kids had the age roughly 4 or 5 years, the tradition in Belgium is that you have a little hollow figure with Santa Claus and Christmas. Couldn't find it anywhere in England. Said to my husband, gap in the market.
That's your phrase, isn't it?
That's
Gap in
our
the market.
phrase, yeah. So I literally, I was lucky because I spoke the language. I went to some Belgian manufacturers, Belgian chocolates, imported some, but then I imported hollow figures. People said, well, do you do chocolates as well? I don't want figures. Yeah, of course I do. I get them tomorrow. And that all really expanded, and I'm now one of the biggest European importers of confectionery in my field in the UK.
That's amazing.
So I wrote some internet marketing book, business books.
Just hold on a moment. So you're now also an author, just for clarity.
Yeah.
Not only a hugely successful businesswoman, mother of twin girls that you absolutely got yourself with the right boxer shorts and your husband.
Yes, exactly.
And the right food for you.
Yeah.
You are now a writer.
Yes.
On top of everything. So you've written books about marketing.
Yeah, internet marketing, yes. And when I studied internet marketing, I came across digital publishing.
Of course you did.
Of course I did, yeah. So then I found a gap in the market there.
Gap in the market. Hashtag gap in the market.
Yeah, hashtag
That's
gap in the
you.
market. And I've self-published over 650 niche books.
600, sorry,
Niche
rewind.
books.
650?
650, yes. I didn't write these myself.
No, but you published
Yeah,
them.
I published them. I
But again,
self-published them. Yeah.
But you published
On
600.
all sorts of different niches. Yes, yes. I love working.
Yeah, I picked that
I
up.
love achieving. And the thing about it is, this really goes back to this very first day I dragged my sheets around the dormitories, because I realized afterwards, that day, when I started my businesses, I realized nobody will ever laugh at me again like that. They won't get a chance. So somewhere deep at the back of my mind, that has played a big role in why I want to achieve things.
You don't have bitterness.
No, I am better, not bitter.
Amazing.
That is, I think, what you have to do. I could have literally dragged all my past with me all my life. But the way I look at it is, the longer negativity sits and breeds in you, the more damage it will do. And it will never rain change. You've got to plant it and seed it. That's how change happens. The only one who can do it is yourself. When I read business books, at some point I read about Napoleon Hill. I can't remember exactly the quote, but the idea behind it was, whatever you think you can achieve, you can achieve. When I read that, I wrote a list of all the things I wanted to achieve, not like a car and just general things, not a bucket list, but just all the things that I wanted in the future for myself. I made sure I was so busy doing the things, planning the things on my list, that I didn't really have time to think about negative things. There was no time for negativity, fear, past things. It's like a twist in your mind where you've got to be busy, busy, busy with achieving things rather than negative, negative, negative with everything that's behind you. Because your future doesn't need your past, so you don't have to go back to it all the time. You just go forward instead. It's that switch that you just need. You can do it. Anybody in my mind can do that.
My mantra to myself is, what's next?
Yes.
What's next? I don't ever think I'm stopping. It's always, what's coming next?
Yeah.
And what's my part in that?
Yes.
I don't want to sit still.
If you're on top of a mountain and you've got a bike and you want to get down, there's two ways of looking at it. You can stand there and say, oh, for God's sake, I'm never going to get down. Look at all those trees. It's impossible. I can't get down. Or you can say, yeah, look at all the spaces there are between the trees. I can easily get my bike to those spaces. I'm going down spaces. So you can translate that into real life. You can just see opportunities instead of obstacles. So don't see the trees, see the spaces instead. Don't be negative, be positive instead. It's all the same thing. That's important. You have to make those decisions, because nobody will knock on your door with a platter with a new life for you.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No.
Exactly.
No, I've not seen a link
No.
online to anything. New life?
No, I haven't either. So we want rain change.
Gap in the market. That's what
Gap
I'm
in the market, yeah. Yes, good thinking. See what I can do.
Platter, you said. Platter.
Yeah, platter, silver platter.
And it says,
nobody's in the comment serve a silver platter.
maybe
and
some
say,
chocolates on it.
Yeah,
And say
do.
new life.
Yeah. And then you just eat the chocolates
Of
and
course.
move on with your old life. A lot of people who are in bad situations, they just need to see somebody who's done it. If I can only help one person with this book, I'm happy.
That's enough.
And it
Yeah.
now works out that so many people find inspiration in it, and I'm really touched with that and happy with that, because that's indeed what I wanted to achieve.
In my youth, there are certain things that I had to have in my handbag to keep me going, like some lip gloss and some condoms. Standard.
Of course, yes.
With maturity, it changes. What do you have? Well, maybe not for everyone. Is that what you're laughing at? But what would you need in your bag today to keep you going?
Condoms.
Standard, you see?
I would say the most important thing I would carry around with me would be my husband.
That's a big bag.
Exactly, but he needs to be in there. No, his
Yeah.
mind is thinking. The pictures of my kids and my husband, they all had an influence on my life. But at the moment, yes, my kids and my husband are the most important. That's also very important. People just chase money, money, money. But if you don't have the love, life is just empty, more empty than when it is with love, when you're surrounded with love. And obviously, because my search for love and acceptance made me go through a lot of stuff I've gone through, it's important that I'm happy now that I've finally found it and got it and kept it.
But the first person who gave that to you was you.
I guess that, yes. I was the one who decided. I really like your view about what you just said. When I did go through rough times, I actually saw myself giving love. And yeah, that touched me in a way. I never thought of it that way. So, thank you.
Gap in the market.
Yeah.
This is the book. You can get it where?
You can get it on Amazon as a paperback, Kindle or audiobook or hardcover, or you can get it in most online bookstores and also in bookstores.
So with this, no gap in the market.
No, there's no Fourth River done, no gap in the market. Ticked.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.